From the first moment this lady came in, she just looked irritated to be there. She looked like she was just in a rush, wanted to see me in a rush so she could just get back to whatever it was that she was doing. And she's like, where were you? What took you so long? And I'm like, she does an ultrasound, a scan, and she goes, she says, well, it looks like you have an ectopic pregnancy. And so she, says some other technical jargon, really. And she, looks around and says, yeah, it looks like an ectopic pregnancy, and asks for a pregnancy test. Hey sis, welcome back to our little camera soiree. Damn, your girl's getting good at this. Yeah, so thank you for coming back to our chat on fibroids. Today I thought we would discuss something really important. Everything's really important, but this is really important because I truly believe that even though, and this is word to all doctors, thank you for all that you do. I do though believe sometimes that, also owing to the fact that, doctors are human, they may be overworked, they may be overwhelmed. So there's certain times when you will find the right doctor and someone that may just not be right for you. So I'm just going to take you through the journey that I had from when everything started up until I found the right one. It's kind of like, being in a relationship, and it actually really is a really special relationship because this is someone who has your life in their hands. So you really have to be meticulous. You really have to take it seriously because, when you're speaking to them, when you're telling them your symptoms and all of that stuff, it's really just like interviewing them to see if they will hold you the right way. So I had quite a bit of an interesting journey. In hindsight, I'm just like, yo, guys, no, it's real. So the first time I ever went to, so this is, I had, just to recap a little bit, about maybe 2013, 2014, I had a cyst that was giving me a little bit of trouble, and I was treating it on and off, and it kept coming back and going away and coming back and going away. But when my symptoms started to change, I decided to go to a doctor. So now I also struggle with gastritis every now and then. So there was this one time I had both a gastric attack and my left side of my lower abdomen was in so much pain. So I went to this hospital. Fine hospital it is. I went there with, these two things that were wrong with me. So I first saw just a normal GP, and so he was sort of treating me for the gastric attack. But because I had that cyst that I was dealing with, he wanted to bring in a specialist. Now, I think it's important to mention that, you could see a GP, but I find it a lot better to just see a specialist, a gynecologist, who is really going to go deep into it, who has a deeper knowledge of the female reproductive system to help you with everything. So even if really a specialist is a lot more expensive than a GP, it's worth it because you will get sort of better guidance on what exactly is the cause, treatment, and just aftercare, really. So the hospital that I was at, I saw this GP, and he, like I mentioned, was treating me for the gastric attack. But because I had that cyst that I was dealing with, he decided to refer me to a gynecologist that was, I think, a resident at the same hospital. So I think that day the gynae wasn't in because it was her day off, but she needed to come in. So he called her in. So now, from the first moment this lady came in, she just looked irritated to be there. She looked like she was just in a rush, wanted to see me in a rush so she could just get back to whatever it was that she was doing. So, with anybody that has issues with gastritis and whatnot, the ins and outs of it. So at this point, I'm throwing up. I have terrible pain in my stomach. My stomach is running. So I went in to see her into her office. She was already waiting, and then I had to leave because I needed to throw up again. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm throwing up, and my husband's with me. I'm throwing up and whatnot, and we were, I think, gone about 10 minutes or so. So as we head back into the doctor's office, we found that she was packing up already, and she's like, "Where were you? What took you so long?" And I'm like, "I'm sick. I was throwing up. You knew this?" She's like, "Well, lay on the bed because I need to go somewhere. I've got somewhere to be." Now, I get it. It's your day off and whatnot. But I'm unwell and you're a specialist and I need you. So surely I almost feel like if she didn't want to be there, she should have just said, "No, I can't come," rather than treating me like that as a patient. So anyway, she does an ultrasound, a scan, and she goes, she says, "Well, it looks like you have an ectopic pregnancy." And so she, says some other technical jargon really. And she, looks around and says, "Yeah, it looks like an ectopic pregnancy," and asks for a pregnancy test. So she asked for quantitative pregnancy tests. So there's two types of pregnancy tests that they do at the hospital. There's one qualitative and one quantitative. So the qualitative one just checks how much HSG, which is the pregnancy hormone, is in your bloodstream. And the quantitative one checks how much of the hormone. Why do I keep saying hormone? Hormone. Forgive. Yeah, so it checks how much of the hormone is in your bloodstream. So she asked that I do the quantitative one. So now that one is not really instant. It takes about 3 days or so for the results to come out. So at this point, we're thinking, "Oh my gosh, that is crazy." And then afterwards, he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." Now, at that time, I didn't really know much about ectopic pregnancies and whatnot because they're quite dangerous, actually. They're really life-threatening because you could die, from having an untreated ectopic pregnancy, because what they need to do is go in and remove the fallopian tube. So thank God that wasn't it, because I don't think I'd be here today. So, we're discharged afterwards, and I'm like, okay. So we leave, and a couple of days later, the hospital calls saying they have the results. So I just asked them, because we were living quite far. So I just asked him, I'm like, "Okay, just tell me what it is. Is the HCG hormone present in the bloodstream?" So he's like, "No, it doesn't seem like there is." Because I begged him, actually. I'm not sure if they're allowed to give out results over the phone, but I just begged him because, we lived quite far and I didn't want to drive all the way there and whatnot, especially with the experience that I had. So I begged him, and he said, "Okay, fine." And he told me, "Oh no, you don't seem to be pregnant." So I'm like, "Okay, great, thank God." because I was gonna be just a really horrible situation. Because I mean, my heart goes out to people that have had ectopic pregnancies, you know. So after that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna. That was a crazy experience. So we forgot about that. The pain sort of went away for a little bit. I think they put me on antibiotics, and the pain went away for a little bit, and then it came back. So I went back to the same hospital, and this time I saw another gynae that was there, and this one was still very, you know, standoffish, was very just looked, you know, just unbothered. Really, that's the right term. He was just unbothered. So I go in and I tell him, okay, I'm having pain here and there, and I just explained everything to him. So I did another scan, and he, you know, he checks. So now I'm sitting down to get my result, and he says, oh, looks like you have a fibroid, but it's really tiny, and, you know, there's nothing to worry about. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know, what's a fibroid? Is it life-threatening? How did I get it? Why me? All those questions. Because I mean, obviously I had heard of a fibroid, but I didn't know really what it was. So he says to me, he explains, oh no, it's just a little tumor that, you know, forms in a woman's uterus, and yeah, there's really nothing you can do about fibroids. They just grow and they're there, and yeah, you'll be fine, he said to me. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you know, I'm fine. And I didn't worry about it again after that. I think he just gave me something I think it was the pain, and I went about my life. So fast forward to fast forward to 2018. Pain came back. You know, this time it was bad. This time it was really mean. So I decided then, though, because the two doctors that I saw from that specific hospital just didn't want to treat me. That was my conclusion. You know, from the first one, the second one, I just didn't feel comfortable. They didn't make me comfortable. So I decided to just leave that hospital altogether and go to another one. Now, this one that I went to, I saw this another gynae, a specialist. I went in, explained what was going on with me, and funny enough, the second one didn't even ask for a scan. She just went straight ahead, and she actually asked if we were trying to conceive and all of that stuff. And at the time, we weren't really trying. You know, we're just living our lives and all of that stuff. So she wondered, you know, she asked normal. But I did mention that, yes, we would. It's something that we would really want to have children and everything. So she put me on a specific medication called Clomid. Now, Clomid is a medicine that helps you ovulate, you know. So at this time, I'm not really questioning why she's doing this and whatnot, because this one was different though. She was very welcoming. She was very attentive. She seemed like she was really caring and knowledgeable and everything. So I felt comfortable. I'm like, oh, okay, she knows what she's doing. So I took it for, so you take it at a specific time in your cycle. So from about day 5 to about day 9, you're taking it. So I took it the first month, you know, and it just reacted really badly. The headache was crazy, and these are some of the side effects of the drug. So, you know, I was really nauseous. I was like, the headache was crazy. But, you know, my husband was like, yeah, no, you know, let's not do that. Let's not take it. Because, I mean, that was never my problem to begin with. You know, so I decided that I wasn't going to take it anymore. And at that point, the pain had stopped again. So now, you know, it's really funny because, You could ignore the pain, and even when it stops or goes away, you think you're fine. You're like, oh, okay, I'm cool and whatnot, especially that the previous doctor had told me I had nothing to worry about and that there was nothing really wrong. I could just go about my life normally. So I went about my life, and this time when the pain came back crazy, like absolutely crazy, I was in tears for like, so sorry, that was 2018. So fast forward, perhaps end of 2019, the pain had intensified 100%. Like it went from 0 to 100. I was in pain every single month for like 3 months straight. I was in tears for like the first 2-3 days of my period. I was just crying, and it was really bad. So the beginning of 2020, now I was getting pain in between my period. I was getting pain when I walked. I was getting pain when I slept. I was getting pain when I sat. So Augustine is like, you know what? I think let's see another doctor. So we went to see yet another doctor. So now this time we went to the person that now is still my doctor. I went in, and COVID had just hit, and we just started. So when I went in this time, my husband couldn't even come with me because they weren't allowing anybody else to come into the appointment with you. He had to stay outside. So I went in and I saw the gynae by myself. So I explained from the moment I walked in, you just feel it that, okay, this time it'll be different. So I just felt it from the way that he received me, from the way that he listened, from the questions that he asked. I felt cared for. I felt, like this person had my best interest at heart, that he was there to really help. So he did a physical examination. He touched my lower abdomen. He said, oh, okay, it feels a little bit hard and there's a little bit of pressure, so I'm going to send you to do a scan, and then we'll take it from there. So that day I did a scan, and the scan then revealed that I had now multiple fibroids, and they were big. So I was distraught, to say the least. And I'm thinking, how did we go from, you have one tiny one to you have multiple large fibroids? I'm here thinking, oh my Lord, I'm shaking. I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay. And, he's just like, okay, no, it's okay. I think he could even feel my energy. He could see it on my face. He's like, no, it's okay. Calm down. It's not the end of your life. We can definitely sort this out. We can treat it. So I'm like, okay. And he, so he's like, okay, the position of these fibroids, the number, and the size of them looks like you may need surgery. So he explains, okay, had they been less, had they been smaller, we would have just tried to cut out the blood supply. But because of where they are, I think it would be best to go in and just get rid of them. So at this time, I'm a little bit panicked, because I'm thinking, surgery? How? Me? Why is this? Is there nothing else that can be done? And I'm just really beside myself. So he explains the position of it. He explains how dangerous it would be and how it would affect my fertility, really, if and when we decided to have children. So I'm like, okay, that's really interesting information. So he's like, okay, you know what, maybe just take some time, think about it, and you can come back whenever and we can have a discussion further. So I'm like, okay, because I'm pretty sure he could see that, this one's touched. So I left that day and I went into the car where Augustine was waiting for me, and I just cried. I just really broke down, thinking, why isn't anything getting better? Thinking what's happening with me. And I just cried and cried and cried. And afterwards, we had a discussion, Augustine and I. We then decided, okay, I think I calmed down. I did a little bit of research. I prayed on it, and I just really took some time to breathe. And yeah, so we went back the next day, and then we had now a proper calm conversation with my doctor. He was brilliant, he was patient, he was calm, he was very knowledgeable. He gave us a lot of information that I didn't even know that we would need going in, but he was just so comforting, I think is the best quality that he had that I personally needed, because there's nothing worse than being in a situation where you don't know what's going on and this person just is so nonchalant and they just don't care. They just really just want to see you and go, because guys, let's not forget or even pretend that these hospitals are also not a business. So I feel like sometimes doctors will just want to see you, so you could pay the consultation fee, because it's quite high. Like I mentioned, consultation for specialists is quite high. So but this one was really brilliant, and I thank you so much, Dr. Njovu. Shout out to you for really taking care of us, taking care of me, and just really being heaven sent. So that was my journey with finding the right doctor. I think just besides finding the right doctor, do your own research, guys. Speak to people, watch videos on YouTube or whatever of people that have gone through similar situations, and see what and who they've spoken to, what they've said. Read books, do whatever you can, really, just to put yourself in a position where you have a lot of information, so that once a treatment plan is made for you, you are also comfortable with it, because it's not all the time that you will end up needing a myomectomy, that you will end up needing surgery. No, sometimes you will need different plans, treatment plans, depending on size of your fibroid, position of it, and even the number. So I hope that helps somebody. I hope that these tips will cut down on the time for you. It will cut down on the stress, and that you will go through it with a lot more confidence. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope we can continue on this journey where I'll be discussing, different topics and different things. So if there's anything else that you would like to ask, that you would like me to discuss with regards to my journey, please do ask, put it down in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for staying with me as we discuss these important issues. I hope that it helped somebody. I hope that, somebody could relate to it and we could continue with this discussion. So see you next time. Bye.